Hey, howdy, and welcome all to the Big and Bright Podcast. My name is Nick. This here next to me is James.
Howdy.
Friends, we have a shocking amount of news. We have a shocking, the most incredible thing has happened.
So much.
There's no news in Texas.
Yeah.
Which is
Not shocking.
just baffling.
Not really shocking, though.
It's
an election season.
not shocking.
It's about it.
Yeah, I'm shocked. There's always something. And to me, the biggest news is that there is no news.
Yeah.
That in itself, to me, is a newsworthy thing.
Everybody focused on Ian like something big happened now.
But we have an election, so let's go ahead and talk about the debate. Hopefully you all watched it, and we're ready to go. James, what are your thoughts?
It was great. Very, very informative.
What specific issue do you like the best?
Well, you know, that one of the thing, the thing.
What's your favorite Greg Abbott quote from?
I am Governor Abbott.
You didn't watch it. You didn't watch it, did you?
No, I did not.
James, you know that you're on a Texas politics podcast, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
You're on a Texas politics podcast, and the debate for the governor of Texas, which is a political office, just happened.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it with our fans. You didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Why did I let you on this show? Why did I ever decide that you would be a member on this show?
Sorry.
You're ridiculous.
I
dislike you greatly.
with the I know who I'm voting for.
I don't care if you know who you're voting for. The point of us doing this is to convince the fine people at home that they need to research their candidates, that they need to look at what's happening and not just make a vote based on a party line. And you didn't do your homework.
Yeah.
Shame. Utter shame. Banned from the show. I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and talk about it because I watched the blame thing.
Yeah.
It really wasn't, there wasn't any bombshell things that happened. It was pretty standard. A couple of things that I will say. One, Beto O'Rourke, you need to dance with the woman what brung you, man. You really do. The character that Beto O'Rourke, the persona that Beto O'Rourke put on for a very long time when he had that failed run for Senate, when he had that failed run for president. It was always this sort of hip, but ultimately optimistic and sort of jovial character, right? That was kind of who he played. He was the Whataburger, skateboard, Beach Boys kind of guy, right? That was Beto O'Rourke. And lately, I think he's going with a different tactic because of the 2 failed runs at various offices.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to shift gears here, and he's going more with the Cory Booker. I'm just angry about everything.
I was like,
and I'm scowling at the camera. Like, he was either A, yelling about something that Greg Abbott did, or B, just scowling at the camera. Now, granted, Abbott didn't do much better, right? Abbott was kind of like, he wasn't quite as intense about it, but he was sort of seriously looking at it. Like, everything was more dramatic than it needed to be, which is a political race, I get it, but Beto, that's not why the people who voted for you voted for you. Side note, the areas in this state, I live in one, that are supposed to be really Beto heavy, are, you maybe see 1 or 2 Beto signs in a yard. Right?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Beto signs.
Occasionally there's
I'll see the stickers, but not as many stickers. I saw a lot more stickers whenever he was going for Senate.
That being said, if you go to a Republican area, you and I have a buddy of ours whose parents live in a big-time Republican neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Abbott signs I think it's an HOA mandate that you have to have an Abbott sign in your yard. Everywhere Abbott signs. So
I need a fence of just Abbott signs.
I think Abbott's gonna run away with this personally. That being said, Beto is sort of shifting gears here, and he's really going on the attack. A couple of things that that Beto said, I'm going to talk about that I really think are really interesting. One, when it gets to the issue of the border, right? Beto was constantly saying, we have more border crossings than we've ever had under Abbott. It's Abbott's fault. And he brought up Operation Lone Star.
Yeah.
Admittedly, Operation Lone Star, less effective than I would have liked. All Abbott needs to say is very clear. It is not the state's responsibility to control the border. It is the federal government's responsibility to control the border.
And that's where I'll defend him on the Operation Lone Star. That's his only try. It's all he can legally do. I'd be much happier if he went illegal and said, you know what, I'm just going to solve it myself and do this, this, and this. But then he couldn't. He'd be taken down real quick with a DOJ.
And he was trying. So Abbott was trying to be clever about it. They were saying, how much more money do we need to put in Operation Lone Star to be effective? And Abbott's response was, we need to put $0 in Operation Lone Star because the federal government needs to do its job.
Yeah.
But he couldn't quite, unless I knew, because I studied this kind of stuff, so I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
It was
he didn't deliver it.
Yeah, he didn't deliver it very well.
Much like George Bush, fool me once, shame on you.
All you need to do is say, hey, here's a book. It's called the United States Constitution. It says that it's the federal government's job to govern the border. And
Beto, back there?
Oh, yeah. Oh. And Beto is going, oh, yeah, so everything's someone else's fault. This is all Joe Biden's fault. And he goes, yeah, this is all Joe Biden's fault.
Literally, this is his buck.
Yeah.
And buck does not stops with me when it comes to state issues. Federal, it's to him or whoever's in charge of him today.
And that was an issue that I think he could have made a little bit more clear. But he ultimately did a good job, and Beto just kept, going on the attack. Beto also said that Greg Abbott is the #1 force for inflation in Texas today. And he said that Texans pay more taxes than Californians.
Call BS.
Yeah, I'm going to press a big X to doubt on both of those things. I think that the biggest cause of inflation today for Texas is the same cause of inflation for the rest of the country, which is Joseph R. Biden. This is why you're
Junior.
That's right. This is why you're seeing inflation across the country instead of just in Texas.
Well, also, people move across the country from California to Texas
to go to Texas because
to pay higher taxes.
To pay more taxes.
I think that's how it works.
And this is the biggest critique that I have of Abbott. And of course, I know that this is biased because obviously, James, you and I are probably both voting for Abbott. But he didn't lean into those moments like he should. The response to Californians pay less in taxes than Texans do is, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Abbott kind of let it go. He kind of let it slide. Really, you need to play more into it.
I'd capitalize on that.
They talked about guns, obviously, the Uvalde crisis. Beto leaned hard into that. I think Abbott didn't do a very good job of explaining why. Again, we have this thing called the Second Amendment. The reason why you have to be 18 to buy it, the reason why you have to be an 18 to buy a firearm is because you have the Second Amendment. It is a codified right. It's not a codified right to alcohol or driving a car or anything like that. And so all those comparisons.
Well, I'll push back. 18 is also not written at all in there. It should be lower, but we had that discussion earlier.
That's very true. Okay. The other thing that he said was, and this is the point where I think Abbott really goofed, but we'll explain why. They talked about something that you're really interested in, property taxes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Why are property taxes so high in the state of Texas? A lot of reasons why that is. The #1 reason is because our, what's our state income rate?
0?
0, yeah. So you pay 0 in state income taxes.
You're welcome.
But we have slightly higher property taxes. Another thing is property taxes are delivered at the local level, which Abbott, again, tried to convey. But again, Beto leaned it, so it's always someone else's fault. The buck stops with you. No, it really doesn't, right? Your property taxes are levied at the local level, not the state.
Despite me doing a lot of king-like things.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that Abbott says that we need to press into the tax assessors, the people who are appraising the value of your home for the purposes of taxing them.
Okay.
Here's the thing. It is true that...
How does that work, Mr. Realtor?
Okay. It is true that if your tax assessor, right, so you have a tax assessor in the state of Texas, and in fact, you don't have a tax assessor in the state, you have a tax assessor, again, at the local level. They run a value assessment on your home, and based on what they determine, that is how they tax you. They tax you a certain percentage of the assessed value of your home. Now, what Abbott says is we need to reduce the assessed value of your home so that you pay less in taxes. And while that works mathematically, it's also true that the more your home is worth, the greater your net worth is, because the home is an asset that you own. And to me, I would rather pay more in taxes because my property is going up, my property value is going up, than pay more in taxes because the tax rate is so high. What we need to work on is reducing the rate. right? The rate at which you are taxed, the percentage of your home's value which you're taxed. That's what needs to decrease, not the home value, because that's actually contributing to your net worth. Beto's solution was, we're going to get more people on Medicaid.
What?
And he said, and
What?
that will decrease your property tax. And I'm not kidding you. No one said, what? How? How is that going to happen?
Just let it slide?
Abbott let it slide. The moderators let it slide. Everyone just said, oh, okay. Like, they just let, I'm like,
if I was Abbott, I'd have been like, you have my time.
Pause.
Explain.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not even going to respond to that. You have all of my 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I bet you can't explain that without saying just a circular argument here.
For what it's worth, for the most part, the moderators were fair, right? The moderators weren't leaning one way or the other. There were a couple of things where I'm like, it was kind of a softball question to Beto, but it wasn't anything that I'm gonna hoot and holler about. I think that they were fair.
You know what I will hoot and holler about, though?
What's that?
Like, share, subscribe this show, because we are way missed the mark.
Yes, we have.
So here we are.
Certainly.
Please comment. Please ring the bell. Please share.
That's my fault. Admonish. Actually, I'm not going to admonish me. The reason why I skipped it is because I was so mad at you.
See, I figured you were going to say that. So that's why I saved the show by saying we should share.
Yeah, I believe it. Anyway, that's what happened. Really, I watched it, and I don't think there's nothing crazy happened that's going to sway me one way or the other. It was all pretty standard. Beto is just really leaning into this Abbott is bad concept. And I just don't think that's going to work for you. That being said, I really don't think any strategy is going to work for you right now, given what you're up against, right? Because like it or not, you were on the campaign trail with Joe Biden.
Yep.
And that ain't going away.
Nope.
Right? That's not going away. And it was crazy because this is something that happened. They played the tape of Beto O'Rourke going, hell yes, we're going to take away your AR-15s, your AK-47. And he says, did you mean that? He goes, yes. He says, so you do want to take away Texans' guns? He said, no. What? I'm just like, I'm not coming for anybody's guns. I just don't think you should have them. Now, he did mention that it was going to... So the crazy thing was, he did mention that he was leaning into primarily raising the age limit to purchase an AR-15.
No.
Right? That was going to be his fix. But then, and this is one of the things I said, they're very fair, the moderators followed up. And they said, so do you believe that we should stop selling AR-15s? And he went, we're going to start with the age range. Yeah, and then what about after that?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Stop
yeah, exactly. So it was, he didn't want to come and outright say it. A lot of different things. They talked about abortion. I think he really, that was the biggest thing that Abbott should have done. Abbott should have leaned into the abortion.
Yeah.
They said, Greg Abbott, is it true that we don't want to, what are we doing to help protect women who've been raped? And is it true that you aren't allowing for, rape and incest? And they basically kind of put him into this area. And Abbott should have said, yeah, I impose the most comprehensive ban on abortions in the United States.
Yes.
Go me. Right? Good for me. Good
you will
for the
have
state
10
of Texas.
people who are louder than the rest get all mad at you. The rest of people get like,
exactly.
I'm going to vote for you now.
And he says, well, it's more likely to affect black and brown women. He goes, no, it's more likely to affect black and brown babies if we allow it.
Yeah.
Right? That's who's going to. And
that's such a racist term, too.
This is all a place where Abbott just needs to lean in.
Yeah.
This is what
conservatives are too scared.
Right?
I mean, this is how he's not really concerned. He's too scared to lean in.
DeSantis would lean in. DeSantis would say, yeah, I did it. And I'm happy I did.
And look at it. Look at his race.
That's where Abbott would have been. Abbott, what he did was say, well, we're going to start providing options for, and he did say we're going to provide things like prenatal care and stuff like that. And he was going to talk about how to help women, but he really should have taken the moment to celebrate the win, because it is a win, Greg Abbott. So take the win when you can get it. Okay. Given the fact that you didn't watch the rest of it, you have nothing to contribute. What do you want to talk about today, James?
Let's talk about our AG.
Our AG. Oh, of course. You go to the lawyer.
Of course.
Yeah. The biggest lawyer.
It's our head lawyer.
What did the AG do?
Well, the AG has been accused.
Well, you weren't watching the debate.
He's been accused of trying to avoid being served a subpoena. Now,
is he trying to avoid being served a subpoena?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But they're saying he ran away.
Why the emphasis on accused?
Because they say he ran away deliberately. Yeah, well, just let you know, you don't have to open the door for anyone that's trying to serve you. You can be like, I know exactly why the sheriff's here. And unless you have a crime going on, I don't even, if you do, I do not have to open that door unless that officer knows you're doing something nefarious and can see it. That officer can also not get in your home. Yep. So don't answer the door. You can just let that service just take forever, and they have to serve it to you. They can't leave it on your doorstep, which is exactly what happened here. They can't give it to your friend and give it to you. No, they have to serve you, unless you're being served some type of official capacity, like if you're the CEO, for instance, of an office, of whatever, and you have someone who accepts an agent. They can serve their agent.
So a police officer can't even enter your home if they have a warrant?
If they have a warrant, it's different.
Okay.
But you're not going to get a warrant to serve a subpoena.
Yeah.
Ever. Unless the judge is just out of their mind bonkers. But apparently, there's these advocacy groups that basically are saying, we hate Abbott's abortion thing, speaking of the abortion, and we're going to help people go out of state to kill this baby. Because now our churches of Moloch have to be out of state, so we're going to that church outside the state. Yeah. And Paxton has come out on social media, and that's the biggest thing. Like, he's been saying on social media, okay. He said stuff in interviews, okay, that he will penalize us with criminal or possible civil charges. But he hasn't yet.
Okay.
So that doesn't make sense to me, how this is a trial in the first place.
See, okay. Pause.
Okay.
I was told when a certain election was going on, and the state of Texas was trying to sue because of trying to sue other states for violating their own state election laws. Mm-hmm. They were trying to take it to the Supreme Court, and the court said that Texas didn't have something. What did Texas not have?
Standing.
Standing. Yes, very good. Standing.
Standing.
It seems to me like there might also be an issue with that.
Correct.
Here,
just to help you out.
Okay.
Nick, I'm going to use you as a prop.
Sure.
Boom.
Ow.
That's assault.
I bruised like a peach.
You're now injured. You have standing.
Yes.
If I go, hey, Nick, I'm going to joke to hit you, and I say those words, and I go, huh, you don't move because you know it's a joke.
But you hurt my soul.
You have no standing.
Yeah.
That's the basics of how you have standing. You have to be effective.
That's not true, James. Speech is violent.
Sure. So that's what happened. And then they tried to serve a subpoena. And the whole thing is we coordinated with his office that we were going to do this at this time. We were going back and forth the emails. Yeah, I don't have to respond to an email. Just to let you know. I work in the law office. You don't have to respond. I don't care. Yeah. You can say I'm going to. Yeah, you can do what you want. I can't tell you what to do. I also, back to, don't have to answer the door. And apparently this crazy person was knocking on their door. This is, of course, Paxton's side. The other side say that he spoke to our senator, Angela Paxton, who's his wife, and said, hey, where is he at? I want to serve him. She's like, he's not here. And he said, I'm going to wait here. Okay. Close the door. It's not how they say it. They say, I was banging on the door, standing there for over an hour. They kind of worried, so they left. Which I think any reasonable person would say, yeah, I'm going to leave. Also, again, I don't have to answer the door. Yeah. So if that's not true, I do not have to answer the door. I don't care if I knew you were coming.
And let's say they actually did flee, right? Now, the word flee here is obviously used to be inflammatory.
Yeah.
But let's say they did. Let's say they said, oh my gosh, that's a guy who is like doing stuff, and they bolted and they ran.
Yeah.
Is that a law? Is that a violation of the law?
No.
Okay. Just making sure. Right.
I literally do not have to get served.
This is a political hate piece. The other thing is this judge, who by the way is named Robert Pittman.
Yeah.
Why is he entertaining this in the first place? Now
I don't know.
Let me read a quote from Your Honor or His Honor. Is it His Honor? Right.
Judge.
Or the Honorable. That's what it is. The Honorable Judge Pittman. The Honorable Judge Pittman.
You want to kiss some butt?
The court will not sanction a scheme where Paxton repeatedly labels his threats of prosecution as real for the purposes of deterrence and as hypothetical for the purposes of judicial review. Wait a minute. Why? Why not? First of all, what's wrong with that, right? This is what speech and action are not the same thing. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right? But you're treating it as
what it means.
First of all, says who? Right? Says who? He's like, I'm gonna do this. Really? Yeah, really. At what point do you say it's being treated as real?
Prove it.
Being treated as
Prove it. No, he hasn't proved it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I think he should,
Sure.
but he hasn't proved it.
Yeah.
You get my claim.
No, I absolutely.
How are you in trial?
I absolutely think you should. The other thing though is that I think that if we get to the place where companies have to ship their people out of state for abortions, I still think it will reduce the amount of abortions that are happening, and I'm good with that. But yeah,
George Soros will keep funding it
for sure, and they'll find ways around it, but make it as difficult as possible. Paxton. Definitely prosecute those people. You absolutely should.
And the dude's like left the subpoena on the front porch. And I was like, well, it's right there. Again, it's not service.
That's not service.
You have to hand it to them. It's so weird. People like,
gosh, I hate the law, man. It's so weird.
I helped a friend of mine do his first chair trial. We worked together, and he did it yesterday, and it was awesome. The dude we beat is over 30 plus years of law, board certified in 3 different areas.
Yeah.
All we did was quote 2 rules back in of our civil procedure in Texas.
Yeah.
Judge was automatically like, yep. This dude had he had like a 10-minute little thing like, Your Honor, rule such and such, will such and such clearly state. The guy's like, yeah, it's really a technical matter. It's not really technical. It's the same rules everybody else has.
Yeah.
And the judge was like, yep. And we knew like that dude just mad because he just got beat by this greenhorn over here. And all he did was just say 4 or 5 sentences and said, thank you, Your Honor, and sat back down. That's all it took. It's like, if you don't read the rules, you're screwed. And the rules say you got to hand it to me. And however, this judge is like, yeah, but I'm going to allow it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's very weird. I'm with you. It's clearly a hit piece. Yeah. But it's still, to me, just kind of fun to like see some like, flee. He's like, go, baby, go.
And the other thing is that this lawsuit was made for news pieces.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, this lawsuit is not going to go anywhere. The lawsuit was designed so that people could write news pieces.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And so
it works.
And now we're talking about ownership. So they got
it worked.
Right. So let's talk about somebody that we like. Let's talk about a politician that we like.
Who
Mr.
is on the opposite side.
That's true. A Democrat that we like. I know. Perish the thought. Mr. Henry Cuellar. Who is Henry Cuellar? Henry Cuellar is a U.S. representative for the area of Laredo, Texas. Right?
Basically.
Not entirely sure which district it is. It's District 28.
There you go.
District 28, which is primary city is Laredo. The biggest city in there is San Antonio, but the district is, this is gerrymandered out the whiz-waz. You can see it's like, it goes left, and then it goes way north. So it's east, and then it goes way north, just so you can get San Antonio, keep those Democratic votes, which I'm totally fine with, to be honest.
Well, he had a very cutthroat primary.
Yeah.
And a lot of weird things happen around his primary, but I think we talked about that.
Yes.
You want to review that a little bit?
I want to review that
because
this is getting ridiculous. So this guy basically said, hey, Biden, the border is a problem. I'm a Democrat. The border's a problem. You should do something about it.
That's when all the Haitian illegal immigrants sitting out there, right?
Yes.
Under the Eagle Pass or whatever?
Yeah. That was where it was. That was in his district. So he's saying, please don't stop. Please don't continue not doing something about this. We need your assistance. And Biden responded by sending the FBI to his house to raid his house. And I'm going, okay, that was really weird. And then guess what they did? What? They sent the FBI to Donald Trump's house in Mar-a-Lago. And then they've been sending the FBI to people who are pro-life and protesting outside of abortion mills.
Peacefully,
right?
Actually peacefully.
Peaceful.
Not
They're sending the FBI.
Not BLM style,
and
actually peacefully.
Taking these people to federal prison, right? The FBI at this point is, to say that it's not being politically weaponized is to be willfully blind, right? So you want to make sure that you understand that. But at this point, it turns out, to quote Bernie Sanders, that's a good thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, for Mr.
It really does. It worked out for him.
It is a good thing.
Well, it's funny. He actually, let me just kind of say also on his record, the House in the U.S. House, they had a vote to basically codify some type of Roe v. Wade codification, and I think it passed the House. The Senate took it up. Funny, the Senate's still Democrat. They won't take it up. I wonder why.
Yep.
They don't have votes for one. But two, Cuellar was the only Democrat to say, no, this should be a state issue.
Yeah.
And he's actually and he's trying to be the Bill Clinton of safe, legal, and rare. And he says this in this article that we're going to give to you. which to me doesn't make sense. If it's safe, a baby's dying, it's not really that safe. If it's legal, why is it legal to kill somebody? And if it's rare, why is it rare if it's safe? A lot of it doesn't really make sense, but whatever. But at least he's like moderate on, shouldn't we do this willingly? It should not be birth control, period. And he actually believes that, I like him for it.
Yep.
And this has helped him. How has it helped him, Nick?
It's helped him because he's been able to raise $4.9 million as of the end of June, which is bananas for a House campaign.
Yeah.
That is a ridiculously high number. The dude is going
Which is more than previous years.
Yes.
All of his previous years.
This is going to he's going to run away with this seat. And you know what? I'm for it. If this is the last remaining Democrat in Texas, let him sit there.
A real one?
Yeah, good for you, Mr. Cuellar. So he's gone through, and again, we'll give you this piece in the description. It's basically a hit piece, right?
But it's really weird, though, because they have political action committees, PACs, people usually call them, that primarily contribute to Republican candidates, and they've been sending money to him.
Yep.
Like the Republican in this race, and as we said, like people are really motivated to kind of go Republican in a lot of areas,
sure,
especially here. But she only, Sandra Whitness, his opponent, she's only raised $2.4 million at this point.
Honestly,
so he's making it happen.
If I'm the Republican Party, I'm not. I'm gonna let this guy run unopposed. And there's a very
really good.
Yeah, there's a very real reason why. Because you get a Republican in there, people don't like that R. There's a lot of Democrats in that area.
Yeah,
people don't like the R next to the name, and so they will vote in whoever else. And if you get Cuellar out and then you put a Republican in, great, you got him for 2 years. But the next person that's come in probably isn't going to be Henry Cuellar.
No.
And they're going to be super radical. And guess what? Now you've really lost.
You've got AOC.
Right here, you have somebody who is running in common sense and is, I don't want to use the word manageable because that's not what I mean. But what I mean is this guy is willing to work with the Republican Party. If you put a Republican in there, if you go up against him, you put a Republican in there and they win, now you got a real big problem.
And
because they're going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, and he knows his community very, very well. Like, the dude is very much I'm a man of the people. And the people are like, yeah, we actually like this guy. He's really, apparently very cordial, very nice. He can talk just like a regular conversation. And then it's like, all right, that's speech time. Like, I got to pause. I got to do a speech. But still, the only thing I don't like about him when it comes to his, basic record is that he did support. He said he voted in support of a bill that will protect the right of women to cross the state borders to get an abortion where it's legal. That's, again, back to the safe, legal, rare. It's like, how much do you mean it? But he's at least saying the state has voted. I mean, you have to respect the state, and it's out of the state, which I don't like. However, he's at least saying, I respect the laws of the state I'm in. I'm not going to overturn it because I want to. The people have voted. The people have voted.
The guy is pro-choice. And for me, I'm a Christian. I cannot, in good conscience, vote for somebody who's pro-choice. I feel the same way about Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Yeah.
I love Tulsi. She's my favorite Democrat. But I won't vote for you because you're pro-choice.
Well,
sorry.
My boss and I were kind of talking about different things. I was like, well, he said something. I forget that to Ted Cruz. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't agree 100%. He goes, is there anyone you agree 100% on? I go, yeah. Well, who? And he's ready for me to Trump or something like that. I go, Jesus. And he just goes, I'm not even going to deal with you right now. Yeah. I was like, oh, come on.
I do. Agree.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Friends, Cuellar's one of the good ones. And there are very few of them.
It's like Democrats are commodities. Like he's one of the good ones, not these other Democrats.
I'm sorry, man. I'd take him over AOC 100 times.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Who, by the way, tried to rip him a new one whenever he was actually saying, yeah, we should probably be more moderate. She's like, you get out of here. He's going, I'm going to win. No one voted you in except for 10,000 Democrats.
I'm a real Latino. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The fact is, this guy is he's worth keeping. So I say we just give him the seat for the rest of his life.
Keep him.
I'd be perfectly happy. It's like if Republicans go up to me, listen, we're not going to oppose you.
Right.
As long as you can keep your seat with the Democrats, we're gonna let you go.
On the slide, we're gonna give you money to beat your primaries. Right. If you say a word, you're out.
Yeah. Good political strategy, man. Right? You need at least a little bit of light in those very dark areas. You need those stars at night. Who are
big and bright.
We'll see you next week.